So this is just a video about valve cover craziness with the ZJ Grand Cherokee Jeep 93 to 98 models. So the 5.2 has terrible valve covers that sometimes leak, and this is what I did to make sure they did not leak. And it's also about how this engine is assembled and how incredibly difficult it is to work on this engine. So here is the left side valve cover, the driver's side valve cover, and what I have is Holland Sharp rockers, and the Holland Sharp rockers are slightly taller than the regular rockers. So it means that this valve cover actually won't come off because of the Schroeder valve from the air conditioning over here. The way to get this valve cover off is actually to loosen the air conditioning unit, pull it forward a bit, and then you can get the valve cover off. But then if you do that, you will discover that these cast aluminum valve covers have a slightly bigger flange over here. So you can't actually get the valve cover off without also moving this front bracket. Okay, now this front bracket goes all the way across here. So to remove this front bracket, you will notice that you can't get the front bracket off without also getting this, this heater hose off. Okay, so you've got this heater hose off, means that you've got to drain half the cooling system off. So let's say you get this heater hose loosened, and you try and get this off, then you will discover that this bolt doesn't come out because the power steering unit has got a pulley that just intercepts with this bolt. So the power steering unit actually has to come off first in order to get this and this off in order to get the valve cover off. So you basically have to take apart the whole front of this engine, essentially almost down to the just before the water pump, just to get the valve cover off. Yes, I'm being serious. But it gets worse. If you want to take this valve cover off, you'll find that with the Holland Sharp rockers, because this part of the valve cover is more square than the original valve cover, you'll see that it just intercepts with this air conditioning supply line. Now this is the cold air conditioning line from the compressor, from the evaporator. This valve cover won't come up because this line is here. So the only way to get that off is to actually take the front bolts out of the engine, the bolt out of the engine mount, and lower the engine slightly. Okay. Then you'll notice that you can't get this valve cover off because the air conditioning lines come over it. So you have to actually take this air conditioner and raise it up and hang it on a rope like I've done here. Then you have to take the alternator off because you want to actually slide this valve cover forward and actually miss this this other air conditioning line. So basically, to get the valve cover off, you've got to take out the alternator, the air conditioning compressor, and you've got to loosen the right side engine mounts and lower the engine, all to get the valve cover off. Okay, so that should explain that. So this is just a video which is meant to be ironic and just explain to you how difficult it is to work on this engine. So there's no actual point to this video. So hopefully that can just give you some sympathy for my troubles while I'm trying to actually put this engine back together. And that's really all I have to say right now. Have a good weekend.